Hello everybody, welcome back to our channel. So today we're talking about Love Marriage Huntsville reunion part 2. I'm going to be frank with you guys. This reunion part 2 was giving. Like, I was so shocked with the revelations, but to be honest, some topics have gotten so stale that I want them to just keep it off from the season or just like recast. So welcome back to our channels. Joining me today, we have reviews and recaps, a quiz tip with Gigi Nan. So don't forget to subscribe, like to this video, subscribe to our individual channels, like this video, and drop a comment on the live so that we can get this whole thing to be very interactive. So, are you guys ready?
Yeah. I was trying to come off mute. But yeah, definitely ready.
Yes,
So let's
absolutely ready because it definitely was giving.
honestly. So let's get into the reunion. Let me bring out the pictures. Yeah. So we continued off from the why do I keep calling Kiki Tiffany? Kiki and Tisha's issues where they started talking about their problem. And honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth. And I'm sick and tired of hearing about Tisha and Kiki. Although I know that it's a new storyline for the season, but I'm actually sick and tired of it. I don't know how or what anybody wants to say, but it's not giving if one part is telling the truth and the other part is saying something else. Because now we're talking about infidelity or whatever, and Tisha brings up the infidelity of Kiki and her husband. And it just gives me the vibes that, oh my god, this is still tea. Because we've heard about this several times. She has been open about cheating on her husband, and she has been open about her husband cheating on her. So I'm like, why are we hearing this again? And then bringing up the whole she gave him money, trying to make it seem like she gave him money and he went on a date. And then we found out that she gave him money and he lied. Then she found out that he went on a date with another girl. If she was just trying to have a moment, but the moments were not sticking. So I was, Tisha really tried so hard to have a moment in the entire reunion and it was just flopping so bad. And I don't understand why Carlos never intervened. I understand, like, if you're not going to do your hosting job, don't be a host. Because you're barely doing your job. You're allowing Marsau and Tisha talk over everybody. Someone wants to give their point, they are screeching at the other side. I just didn't understand.
I agree with you on that because that definitely is how it was. Like, Tisha had a whole dossier of what she was going to say. So that actually goes into what we said last week that it really did seem rehearsed. And for Stormy to call it out, like, we all seen it. But then she pulls out this paper and starts going through basically all her talking points. But it didn't do nothing but make her look bad. Just like the part where she tried to make it like Amin was out um, basically messing around on Kiki's dime. And then we find out, no, she didn't even know nothing about it. And then teacher tries to backtrack. Oh, well, I don't know. Well, then why would you say something? Why would you even speak on something you don't have full facts about or don't know? And you're steady talking about somebody else's marriage, but yet you are not taking into account that your husband is making you look like a fool still.
At least Kiki is cheating back.
Tell me something.
I'm just
Right? Something, and at least you're being honest about it. Like,
saying. I'm just saying, like, you on the other hand, you are defending this man, acting like he don't be out in these streets, acting like he doesn't treat you like an op. Like, I don't understand. And for me, the whole thing, I kept looking at Carlos, and I was thinking, like, why are you going to let Tisha just like scoot her way out of those rumors? But then you're asking Kiki, let me ask you directly. And you cheat. Like, can you ask her directly? Can you ask Tisha directly? Can you ask Tisha some direct questions, please? So I think for me, I just kept thinking, yeah, sounds rehearsed. It fell flat. I loved how everyone was laughing in Tisha's face when she talked about that. I mean, taking using Kiki's money to go on a date or something like that. I love how everyone laughed and said the way you made it seem like she was involved in that, like she paid for someone else to go on a date with her husband. You know, like that's out of order. You can't say things like that and then later say, "Oh well, I wasn't quite sure about." Like, what are you talking about, sis? So yeah,
I
no.
mean,
Right.
I
And
mean
Carlos
that's not
follows
even
the
a
Scott.
gag. That's not a gag. If she paid, that means she knows. And to be honest, I don't even call that cheating, because if I know I'm even paying for the date, why in an open marriage? At least she knows what she's up for. You are in total denial and blaming every single person for the whole issue. Like, I was just really irritated about that part because Carlos was doing a terrible, terrible job. Now, Carlos asks Melody and Kimmy about Tisha and Marsau. This is another part where I was like, what is Melody and Kimmy's business in their marriage?
Let me say, I laughed at that part. It tickled me because they both just went back and forth like, go first, no, go Mel, go Kiki, Kimmy, no, go. That was hilarious because like everybody knows, Tisha, you were basically allowing this man to just do whatever. You're pretending to be oblivious because I really feel like it's a pretend. She knows. Just like, okay, you go to Vegas while he goes to Colombia on during your anniversary, for one. He goes to Colombia, brothel capital. Come on, and you're in Vegas, and then you come back and take this fake pregnancy test or whatever. Come on, girl. Like Carlos, why didn't you talk about that? I feel like he was coddling the Scotts. He was coddling Marsau and Tisha the whole time.
To be honest,
Yeah, I was just sitting there. I was just thinking, whilst I actually think, what is their business? Like, why are you asking them? But at the same time, I'm glad you asked because at least we got a little bit of entertainment right there. Um, but in actual facts, I think, to be fair, like, what is their business? And I feel like these are some of the things that if they didn't handle it the way they handled it, you guys know how Tisha is. Tisha gonna have beef forever.
they are coming for my marriage.
She's gonna be crying about it next season if they had handled it differently. The whole next season would have been, oh my god, you see how everyone came for our marriage? Like, we don't want to hear it. So I'm glad the ladies answered the way they answered, so that at least that will keep the peace for next season. Because we know Tisha is gonna be salty if they had answered it the way they would have actually wanted to answer it. Let's be honest.
I mean, and that was the real setup. Carlos was really setting up everybody, especially Kiki. Now, let's even go to the Kiki part, main about the whole drug thing. So Carlos starts questioning Kiki about her drug abuse. And for me, watching it, to be honest, I'm going to be frank. I caught the reunion after it aired. I will not lie to you. I had to skip majority of that because I was very uncomfortable. I've never abused drugs. I've never done anything drugs. But I'm going to be frank with you. I was very uncomfortable about this scene because maybe because I'm educated on it, but a little bit of research would have shown people that you shouldn't talk about drug abuse, whether she's abusing drugs then, whether she's sober. The lining of questioning was just not it at all. You kept, like, it was so crazy to me. She told you she took a drug test. You should have just educated yourself. And then you asked her, oh, but you're on methadone. And you're like, okay, you should have asked yourself, why didn't the drug test pick the methadone? You would have known that it had a special kind of testing. And that was production's fault. Melody was not supposed to know that. You guys were supposed to do your due diligence because it's so obvious that that scene was cooked up. And then you are coming on the show to embarrass the woman about the whole drug thing. She told you I've been sober for years. What, like the audacity for you to then ask her, have you been sober throughout the full mean? What does for years mean? I'm sure that you guys been for over only like 3 months. I'm sure that's more than that's shorter than years. I was like, why are you asking that? And then you, after asking that, you then asked again, have you used drugs in the past 1 year? Like, what kind of stupid question was that? And you
Not
then
only
ask her,
that,
it was even the audacity of Tisha and Marsau to then say, yeah, she's on drugs. But then you are crying wolf that she talked about your marriage. Bye. You can
yeah,
speak.
yeah, I thought that it was crazy that he kept pressing the issue with her drug use and the drug test as though Melody making or giving her that drug test wasn't valid. And Melody even said, like, hey, production was there. She didn't know that she was getting tested. So, why are you like, how can you say that it was a fake test? And Marceau basically said that he's like, oh, well, somebody's lying. And then Maurice is like, or he said either Tess is lying and Maurice is like, well, somebody's lying. How is that? If you guys didn't give the correct test, or if Melody didn't know that, hey, there's a separate test to be tested for methadone, we know she's on it. But also, she also said she was trying to wean herself off of it. When she was sitting down talking to Stormi and Tiffany, before Tiffany got there, she was talking about how she was wanting to get off of it and she was trying to wean herself off of it. So it's very possible that at the time that she took that test, she possibly wasn't on methadone at that time. She possibly could have been saying, hey, this is the time that I don't want to take it, and I'm going to try and do this myself without having to use this. So there were so many other possibilities. And also, Carlos, if it was something like that, why would y'all not set up a test for her right then at the reunion? If it's such a big deal, y'all could have had her test right then and there. Shut
I think
everybody down.
I think it does not fit their narrative for her to not be on drugs. And I feel like that's all it is about. Because if you really wanted to prove something, bring another drug test. Bring a few different drug tests. Bring one that tests specifically for methadone. Bring the ones that don't test specifically and is a general test. And put all of them there, right? They're, my thing is, if you had genuine questions about her alleged drug use, you would have heard that the test came back and you would have heard that it tested negative for methadone. You cannot tell me the first time you're hearing it is on the reunion. You could have spoken to a doctor, you could have done some research, found an expert, right? If you are really concerned about someone, an employee of yours, allegedly being on drugs, okay, you could have tried multiple things to ensure the test is properly done. You could have said, okay, to stay on the show, we need you to take a hair sample, right? And test to make sure to figure out whether or not you're on drugs or whatever sample they need to verify. Okay? They could have checked that. So don't sit in this woman's face and be asking her a million and one questions when you're not keeping that same energy for the rest of the cast. The rest of the cast, who don't have as serious allegations, are being left to basically dance around the subject. So no, Carlos did a very, very terrible poor job on that. And then saying to her, oh, if you need help with your something, and I was like,
Sobriety, we congratulate. You know, it's the fact he said we congratulate you on your sobriety. Okay, you know she's sober. Why are we talking about this?
no, no. And then I don't know if you picked up at the end, then said something about, and we are here for your something like that, like something that was giving, in my opinion, insinuations that she may still be on.
But
So
if we think about it, she also said in the very beginning that she was basically going to support groups. Like she goes to her support groups, she has sponsors and all that stuff. Like so she's been trying to actually she's taken her sobriety pretty serious. So for me, it not only made it terrible. Hold on, sorry. But I feel like it also made it bad because if you guys noticed when she was talking about that and actually was talking, Marcel pulled out $100 bill. Like why? What was the point in that? Like, was you trying to say that you would pay $100 for her to take a new test? Like, was you trying to hush her up? Like, hey, don't say too much here. You can get this $100. I'm gonna weigh this in your face. Like, what was the whole point of you pulling that out? Like, I don't understand the Scots, and I don't understand Carlos's questioning, and I don't feel like he did a good job when it came to it. You could have had someone, you could have had a doctor there on call who said,
Yep.
okay, well, we have this doctor here who was was willing to give you another drug test if you're willing. Let her do it.
100%. But I
My
feel
point
doesn't.
is they shouldn't have even talked about this at all.
I think I can understand why they want to talk about it because they would want to reach out to audience that are going through something like this. But then the way they should have handled it, they should have handled it with a lot of care that it deserves. Instead, this has fallen so flat. And also, the other thing about it is also, when was the reunion filmed? The reason I asked is when this episode came out, right? Was was the reunion already filmed at that time? The episode specifically where she tested negative for methadone. The reason I
It
asked is
was already filmed. We've already seen that episode.
I know,
The
but
reunion was about a month ago.
the reason why I was asking is because I'm like, why didn't Kiki also go and do research as to why methadone does not show up in the system? Because I could have told her for free that that was going to be a question that would have come up.
But that's very ridiculous though.
It
How
is.
would she know?
Well, sis, when we even recorded the episode, a lot of questioning came up about that methadone topic. I don't know if you guys remember. It was, and Kiki stays in this YouTube streets, in the social media streets. Is she telling me that she didn't see what people are saying about methadone and was not prepped for that? If you're going to be a reality TV star, you need to be on point about those things. You need to think about these things.
Like, see, okay, fine. Let's agree that the question was coming, whatever, so that we can round this up. But the point is, if you are going to bring it up and say you are going to touch people, what did this give? It just gave, oh, we're coming to be judgmental. We're coming to tell you, oh, you were abusing drugs. You called me 1 year, last year, telling me that you stole your man's money to buy drugs. You called me to pick you up when you were drug. You called me. All what it gave was Carlos needed an avenue to have the Scots attack Kiki. So basically, he used Kiki and gave the Scots a show because we had almost 15 minutes of the Scots attacking someone's character, and they are telling me that he wanted to talk about drug abuse. Like, let's be for real. Let's just be for real. Like,
And
I
hold
was
on,
really injured.
let's speak on it because Marcel was steady talking about how you can go back and get the gift card. You don't have if you don't have the receipt, you can go back and get the gift card and turn it back in for drugs. And I'm like, damn, you were saying a whole lot as if you've been here. Like, and can we talk about the fact that allegedly it's been said that y'all are on pills, the Scots and Martell and other things. And it also is alleged that Tisha and her mama are kleptos. So why not talk about that? Y'all want to always, like I say, y'all want to throw mud and sling mud in Kiki's way. Just know that that same mud you sling and you track that dirt right in your house.
And let's to even end the entire argument. Kiki and Wanda, who behaves more irate, but somehow Kiki is the one on drugs. But let's just move on.
Yep. That's a drop mic moment. Period.
Right, absolutely. Drop the mic.
So Tiffany and Louis come in. Tiffany was looking really fine with those big joggers on her chest, like, ooh. And then she announces that she's not coming back to the show, at least for now, because during the time when she was going through postpartum depression and she was away from the show, she realized that she had more peace, more quiet, and it was way better. Then Louis was questioned why he wasn't there. My point is, Louis already said they were not prepared for a child, but Tiffany wanted a child. Although I would never wish postpartum depression on anybody because it's very, very strenuous, and most times they have to take the child away from you for your mental health to get better. That was also a teachable moment that was wasted again on the show, because next question you're asking about, how did she feel about being a Karen? That Karen question could have come before the whole postpartum depression thing, because now we have Marsau and Martell attacking her again, and Marsau gives a definition, the same definition of Karen, talking about someone who doesn't mind their business. I love that they pointed it back to him, that then you are the definition of a Karen, and he could not defend the fact that he called her a Karen because she's half white. Because when he was asked who gets called a Karen, he said white women and mixed. So the only reason why you called her a Karen was because she was half white. And I already said this before. I already said it before. He called her a Karen because she was half white. I said this in that word, this thing. You can call her anything you want to say. That Karen name has a very negative, there's nothing positive about the name. That's why he didn't want them to stick the whole Karen name to him, but he was so happy to stick that name to somebody that was half white. And I think sometimes people, black people, we tend to have this, we unconsciously name people things that when they name us back those things, we cry racism. But when you look at it, sometimes those names are very palatable for the things that we are doing. And that's just the exact thing that Marsau did here. Because you are fighting a woman for calling her a Karen, but when it was pointed out that you are behaving the same way, you're like, no, I'm not a Karen. Like, what does that even mean?
Look, I said, okay, you white people can be considered Karens and Ken. I'm sorry, black people can be Keishas and Carl because we have all seen the videos where black people are getting irate and they're, cussing people out at McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts and just crazy shit. Like we have attitudes just the same and can be just as opinionated. And Marceau is one of the most opinionated people and he's always in everyone's business. So in tow, you're a Carl. If she's a Karen, you're Carl.
But I love how Tiffany and Lou did not really rise to Maso. They said what they had to say, and that's what that was. You know, like they weren't going back and forth with him. And I completely agree with you, Ucha, that it didn't make sense to leave the current comment until after talking about something serious. Like, you might as well start it off on a light-hearted note and then end it with the serious thing. And then, and then they can naturally exit from that segment. As opposed to, it just seems like, oh, so we're going to move from something serious that has affected this woman's life and is still affecting her life to talk about being a Karen. Seriously.
Yeah, because think about how that could affect her in her daily life. Like people who watch the show, and actually do business with her, they can actually look at her differently because she was called that or just because of how she was portrayed on the show. So you got to watch what you say and who you are giving that name to. And you are so right, Ucha. He definitely did that all because she's part white. If she was the same color as Tisha or anybody else, that wouldn't have came out. It would have just been that she was, you know, being aggressive or she was just um or in Tisha's word, trying to start something or ruin somebody's marriage. Like it
I
makes no
mean,
sense.
It's just the same way, now people are calling Tiffany Karen. It's just the same way Martell has solidified himself as a great father, even though he's a shitty person. But let's go on, as I mentioned, Martell, because this scene and the Betty scene were the ones I nearly felt like punching my screen. So Martell starts talking around this period, referencing to Tiffany. He talks about he talks about Sheree, saying that he and Sheree were friends, and it was mentioned that Sheree said they were not dating anymore because of his negative press, and was like, oh, he has never heard about it. That now he's single and focusing on himself. And he says that, oh, he changed his mouth, saying that he was dating her. Then everybody was looking at him like, didn't you just say you were friends with Sheree? How did you go from friends to dating her? This is what happens when you don't have your lies like planned out, because you can't say I was friends with somebody and the next minute you are dating the person. And then he was asked, do you have feelings for Melody? Is that why you've had issues with dating? I'm tired of this question being asked every single reunion. Like, change the storyline. Because every time it's asked, it brings up an issue with Mel and they fight, and the people are like, oh, Melody, your storyline is always with Martell. Meanwhile, we know that throughout the entire season, it was only like two times she had issues with Martell. The rest of the season, she practically had no issue with Martell at all. Mel then corroborated the story, saying that, and I'm like, we didn't really see much of this part when she said that Martell was telling her that he would really like to get back to Melody. And I'm like, oh, they didn't show us this. They are painting images for us to see. And Martell can say whatever he says because he knows that Carlos will edit it favorably for him. Then Carlos asked Martell about the changing of name thing, and he said it did not make sense for Melody to change her name except if she was getting married. Melody responds saying, like, how is that your business? If I change my name, how does that affect you? And she then said he was lying about the whole marriage thing and dating thing, that he's not single and he's definitely with Arionne. At that point, Marsau chips in saying, shouldn't you be bothered about your, was it not your new marriage or something? This is where everybody started speculating that, is he married to Arion, or has he given her a ring or something? Because for Masao to ask that question, something serious has been going on. But I then said that every time our kids are with this man, Arion is there, and that she feels very weird because Arion really envied what she had, even though Martell had hand in ruining it. She had done it so much that she wanted to get what she wanted, and that this woman has said so many vile things about her that she's actually not happy, or that she's not even that she doesn't feel that it's great for her kids to be around this woman. This is something that we've said several times. This bed of a woman has come life multiple times. The same time she tried to blame Sugar Mama for giving this Knox COVID. She has really said so many bad things about Mel that sometimes she'd be like, you really loathe this kid, you really loathe their mom, but because you are so desperate to have Mrs. Holt, you are willing to take up for these things. Then Martha brings up the whole 11 babysitters. I'm like, oh, thank God we're reducing the time. So we've gone from 11 babysitters to from 20 babysitters to 11. At least the truth is coming out. Mel challenges him at this point, saying, I've never had any 11 babysitters. I've always watched my kids. I'm not like you. And you can't even be like me, that he needs. Then he starts talking about the whole paperwork that's going to bring the paperwork to prove her wrong. But he then tells him, go bring the paperwork, make sure it's the transcript, that in the paperwork it will actually be revealed that his relationship with Shari was a work relationship, and that he quoted and quoted in the in court that what he had with Sheree was a work arrangement. And then Martell walks out with that tight outfit that he had on, and then comes back in and brings a bunch of papers. And Mel is like, nah, this is not the transcript because I've actually had the court case and I know how big it used to be. So I'm like, this doesn't actually look like a transcript. It just looks like piles of paper just brought together. And this is definitely what he sent to the bloggers to defame her and talk about her kids court case, and that's why he is a dangerous person. I'm sorry, Martell was fuming. No, Mel ate that thing up. Martell was fuming that his husband had to tell him to calm down.
Sis, not his
You
husband.
say listen, I said the same thing. Y'all know I've been said that Carlos and Martell. But yeah,
But
that was,
also looks red in the face.
did y'all see how many times Carlos would rub Martell's arm or touch his arm and try to like
It
get a
was
little
so
feel?
disgusting.
Mm-mm.
Like that is just too much. And the way he stormed out like a little kid having a tantrum, like, sir, if you gonna come back and try to say something or have some receipts, actually have the receipt.
Mm.
And then to sit there and look like, oh well, I'm not a liar. I don't lie. You lied about dating Sheree. You lied about being with Coleslaw. Like all you do is lie. You lied and act like you lied to Chris Fletcher and act like you and your kids didn't have a place to go and your kids have their own home with their mother. So they're sad. Like you lied about everything. So to make it as though somebody is uh doing something against you, no, you're doing it to yourself. You did all of this to yourself. And
You
now
can't.
you're mad because she won't take you back.
And you can't keep track of your lies. Just at the reunion, first you're just friends, then you're dated, then it's a business arrangement. What is it? You and Sheree. And so, like, for him to think that Melody saying that he's such a liar is like this. Where's that coming from? I'm like, I'm surprised that you're surprised. Like, what, sir? Like, what is wrong with you? And also, did you guys peep that he actually had the court papers there? Almost like he was waiting for him to be called upon so he can bring his court papers. Because who brings court
Almost like Carlos already told him what he was going to be asked.
Mm.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like Carlos was like, hey, bring me his papers. Or like, because we actually talked about this in our live, me and Braylon did. Did y'all see how quickly he was able to get to his dress room to get the paper and get back? Now, whether they cut the time, they could have. But it seemed as though almost like he just went behind the curtain a bit real quick. Somebody handed him the folder and he walked right back out. Like they was ready and prepared for him to bring out these false receipts. And
also?
Carlos was just sitting there just giggling as though he just knew it was about to prove something or be against Mel because he don't like Mel because of who she is too. So I feel like anything against her, he was definitely waiting for it.
Yep. And I think the other thing I didn't like was when Mel was talking, Carlos asked Mel a question. Carlos, control your husband. Control Martell. Because why is Martell out there literally talking over Melody? It doesn't make for good TV because we can't hear what each person is saying. I need to be able to hear. And it just felt like he just let Martell continue to speak over her. And I didn't like that. It's like, why not? Why can't you step in? As a host, that's what you do. You step in and you say, Martell, I need to hear what Melody is saying. Can you shush? And then you can speak after. Because it was just giving the impression like you're trying to drown what it is that she's saying. And we know she comes with the facts. We need to be able to hear all of that. But yeah, that just really irritated me. I'll be honest. As I was watching this, I was pissed off. Like that part of the reunion really, really pissed me off.
I think at this point, Carlos needs to just like give up on being the host.
I
I
was
hope
just thinking
I
that, girl.
wished you guys watched the Bell Collective. I was like, come on, man. I watched the reunion. You would think this is bad. If you watch Bell Collective, you would know how terrible it was. He was so biased. Latrice and Cliff was legit talking over every single person. It's come on. Every single reunion you do, this is the same gameplay every single time. They need to start allowing other people, especially maybe women, because the men are so messy. It's just like so unprofessional. And yes, talking about you trying to ruin my image, you're trying to damage my image. You're doing it sufficiently enough. Nobody's trying to damage you, Martell. Nobody's trying to ruin you, Martell. What exactly is she going to gain by having a broke baby daddy? You're already broke as you are. What exactly is she going to gain by having you broker? If there's something like that.
And that's what kind of makes it so crazy because Coleslaw really thought that she was going to get the man with the millions. No, honey, the only reason why he had what he had was because of his wife. Once that wife was gone, he had nothing besides you. And now y'all are both living, what, on your housing voucher? Who knows? It is what it is. But girl, I don't know what you thought. I don't know. Martell ain't nothing. She ain't nothing, so they deserve each other, honestly. But yeah, it was disgusting how he is as a host. Like he really does need to stop hosting. We need to get someone else in there. And also, can we start getting a live studio audience where people can actually ask questions that really need to be asked and hold these people to the fire instead of it being where he's showing favoritism.
Or can we at least send our questions in advance so that you
He
have
won't
those?
ask anything. He
And
will still pick whichever one he wants.
of course he will. Of course he will. And then once Mattel cries to him, he'll probably be like, "Oh, Marty, you don't need to answer this one."
I was so irritated watching that scene, like a host telling someone to calm down. Security?
To be
What?
past him. That's mad. That's
I've caught security straight up.
like, get him out.
Yeah,
Like,
go ahead and get him out. Like Carlos,
everyone keeps facing Kiki. And don't get me wrong, I feel like Kiki can do a lot better in terms of managing her emotions. But Mattel can't handle his emotions either. Mattel is the one they need to be asking questions. They need to be tested, in my opinion. Because how is it that he's behaving like this, but no one has anything to say about it?
yeah, that is so crazy. Like, as many outbursts as Martell has had, no one has said, "Oh, that's drugs." Oh my
Mm,
god, the way you're acting, that's drugs. But
right.
yet he has an outburst, and it's automatically drugs. This man has tried to fight damn near everybody, and you're still saying that he's okay. You're still allowing him to be there. Right now, he has a DV case. I bet you he'll be there next season because Carlos ain't gonna say nothing about it. Carlos
Mm-hmm.
won't let him go.
And the
But
truth is, the only people that will know about the DV case are people who are in these YouTube streets. So then there's a percentage of people who are watching the show who will probably not know anything about this DV.
That's what I said. That's what I said. Because you still go to the Facebook group, see Facebook moms talking trash.
Mm-hmm.
Man, let's just move on because this shit, like, there's no use complaining because Carlos is just going to keep on doing the same thing next season, choose his favorite and ruin the whole reunion for them. So now let's go to the final showdown. Melody versus Stormi versus her mom. So they bring in the ugly Betty Kruger, coming in like a witch that she is. She comes in, starts talking. What did they even start talking about first initially?
He
I
said
don't
no, and she could barely even answer. I was like, what
then
kind of
she started,
woman is this?
like, it was so crazy because I know that she was answering something else yes, about a family issue, and then from nowhere the whole thing, Mel was just connected to it. Like, I was still very lost when that thing happened. Then she starts talking about the fact that Mel tweeted something on Twitter, and someone took the tweet and put it to the fan page. That's how crazy the thing is. So, like, listen, Mel tweeted on Twitter. Someone took the tweet and put it in a fan page, and people commented on that. And this was regarding the whole someone recorded her. Meanwhile, knowing that on the show, they explicitly showed Destiny playing a record of Melody. You don't even need to apply your senses for you to know that she was responding or referring to Destiny. People started commenting under the post. And then her claim was Melody is in these fan pages. And then she ought to have spoken in defense of Stormi in response of the comment. I'm like, are you kidding me? There has been Tisha versus Melody, Kimmi versus Melody, Melody versus Marsau. I've never seen any of these people go on that comment sections to defend anybody. But you want her to start reading fan pages to defend your daughter.
How
Do you
much
know
time
how
do you think she had?
senseless that means? And Storm is saying Melody likes live tweeting. Duh, that's what someone who really wants the show to boom would do. Because for the love of me, I don't understand how you guys will have a show and none of you are promoting the shit out of that show. If I'm on a show, I will hawk the show so that I will blow and the show will blow. That's how you sustain the show. Without Melody, this show would have died because all the controversies, all the tweeting, everything is attached to Melody and by extension Martell. So thank them for keeping you guys fed. Then you're talking about, oh, Melody is live tweeting, and then definitely she had seen those comments. I'm not gonna respond. How do you know what I've seen? And Stormy is like, well, you have seen it. No, I love the way Melody shot the ugly Kruger down. Like, face your family.
Right. Like, why are you steady going like back and forth with a woman who's way younger than you? Someone who this woman has no real listen, she has no real affiliation with your daughter. She was actually trying to help your daughter out, showcase her business ethics and, black black excellence. She didn't really know your daughter. They're not friends. They don't sit there and sing kumbaya together and hold hands. Listen, they were associates. But you came out with several different stories, several different ones. But you're sticking with this one because you feel like this one gives you more, it makes
She
more
could not
sense.
answer why she hated Melody. She could not.
She can't because she doesn't have a reason. Now she just hates Melody because Melody is who same reason as everybody else. Because Mel is who she is and they cannot be her. And it's a problem. And that you can
I
say
feel
a less green in my opinion, but that's just how I feel. I feel like they are really jealous of Mel and they're envious of her. And because they can't, like Stormy, you make millions, okay? That's fine. Your hair care products, great, but you're still not on the level of a Melody Sheree. Sorry, but
at least when it comes to being liked and being the fan favorite, you will never be on that level because of behavior like this. Because let's be completely honest, right? How many people, like, if anyone ever said that I live tweeted and then they're expecting me to go back and check what people have said, I live tweeted, I left afterwards. What do you think this is? You think I'm going to sit there and be waiting to see? Whilst I'm live tweeting, you're live tweeting about multiple things, scene by scene. Do you think I'm going back to go and say, oh, wait, what did they say about it? No, of course not. And I'm just like, how much time do you think this woman has on her hands to go
And for
back
a
and
crazy woman that has been commenting hate comments on someone, you think I'm going to defend your daughter? Who are
of
you?
course not. Of course not. I think she was even nice by saying it's not even the person. I would have said nothing. Zilch, you cannot threaten me to say anything. If you like, come out and give your statement and say you're not the one. That's on you. But I'm not doing nothing to clear it up for you.
A hit dog will holler.
Exactly. And so for me, I was just like, I couldn't believe that. And also, I would have appreciated an opportunity where Melody would have been able to say, actually, you, this is the first time you're saying this. You've said multiple other things, but no concrete reason as to why you don't apparently like me. So I personally think that Betty probably is in a relationship that she should have left but is refusing to leave. And I think sometimes when people are like that and male identified, they tend to see Melody as the opposite of that and a little bit of a threat. And I feel like that is why she does not like Melody.
I mean, there's a said YouTuber that's always sided with Martell. I joined her life one day and then she was like, the only like my husband cheated on me, but we're together. Do you think I'm going to allow her win? Do you think I'm going to allow the other girl win? I kept my marriage together. This is the ideology that has issues. Why should I keep my marriage together when the other person doesn't want to keep it together? I
Yeah.
hate
Why am I the only one
like
working?
Right.
why should the burden of proof always be on me?
Right. So true. And that's the thing. Betty Kruger, are you going after the same people who actually were saying that your daughter's products were not right? They were allergic to them. We all seen her factory with the dog bleeding inside of it, so we know that she's not sanitized. And then also, are you going to the same customers who said that, or the people who are tweeting that they didn't get their products? Is that Mel's fault too, or is that your daughter's fault and something that she has to handle? If she knew that the tweet was not about her and she didn't do anything, you had no reason to respond or even feel some type of way because you knew it wasn't you. And why couldn't you call Mel, text her, or if you saw her tweet, go DM her and say, hey, are you talking about me? Listen, I just want to clear it up. I never recorded anything. Da, 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 da. Y'all have that conversation then. Why is it that your mom has more of a problem with it and brings it up more than you do? It just makes no sense.
And if she was so
Because
pissed about it, I feel like Melody would have actually gone to publicly clear it if Stormi had reached out directly. Because do you know what I mean? Like if you reach out directly to me and say, "Oh, could you please clear it up? People are like really dragging me for filth." I feel like if you've not done anything wrong to me, I would be like, "Do you know what? Sure, all right, I'll clear it up." But if your mom is out here trolling me and dragging me, I'm not clearing nothing.
Right. I'm gonna let y'all sit there and look stupid. I'm gonna let y'all, insert yourself in something that don't
but
have nothing to do
let's
with
be
you.
frank, nobody was saying Stormy. Stormy said Stormy. I was shocked that I slept because of the time difference. Like, recast, you can understand. Time difference. I slept, woke up to a whole new gist that Stormy was saying that Mel was talking to her. And I was very shocked. It made absolutely no sense. Like, it was as if she said 1 plus 1 is equal to 5. It made no sense. So, me clearing that up, what would that like think about it? Why would I clear up something you started yourself? Yes, Leandra, she started the rumors herself. She should clear it up herself. Why should I clear up something you started yourself? Please.
Yeah, because I actually
All
don't
right, that's facts.
a Stormy thing. I don't remember covering that and thinking, oh, it's a Stormy. I don't remember. I may be wrong, but I don't remember it being publicly sort of said that it was Stormy, to be honest.
Honestly, and her talking about you arguing with your ex-husband. Like, why are you always seeing what the woman is doing? Why are you not talking about the man arguing with the ex-wife? Why are you so bothered about the ex-wife arguing with the ex-husband? Come on.
And the truth is, if he
And she
treated you,
was responding.
you would be arguing with him forever. Let's be honest.
Yeah, honestly, let's just see what happens next week because I really feel like I hope, let's just say, I hope that there's some true revelations that come out. Like, let's at least end it off with some real shit. Like, I'm so sick of the fake stories, just like Marcel and them saying that Kiki is their story is, or Kiki's using them for a storyline. No, let's get them out of here. We can bring on some new couples. Honestly, the Fletchers have a great story themselves. Kiki by herself, just with her substance, issues and her sobriety, that's a story all itself. Like, can we get a new season with new fresh blood, new eyes? Like, I'm ready for something new, honestly.
And I think we need enough is enough of the Mattel and Melody storyline. I'm done. I don't want to hear it. And of course, it's not because of
God, if
it is.
possible, they don't even film anything together next season. I will be so glad. Like, if you're
Uh,
not going to talk about the revenge tape, you're not going to talk about the court case, you're not going to talk about anything, save it.
David, I'm with you on that, sis. I'm with you on that. Like, you guys have danced around it so much, we're tired. Well, like, the only person we're talking about is Carlos, because who else is you guys? But yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that covers it all. I think we've covered the entire episode. It was a very interesting reunion. I've missed reunions like this where I don't slip off. So thank you to the viewers, thank you to the commenters. This has been an interesting review, straight to the point. So we'll see you guys next week for another review. Don't forget to subscribe to A Queen's Tea with Gigi Nan, reviews and recaps, and then my channel. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to drop your comments. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.